Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the TJR Auto channel. My name is Tyler, and in today's video, we're going to be drag racing all three of my vehicles. Now, when I say drag racing all three of my vehicles, I don't mean I have two other drivers and we're going to be lined up three wide and gunning it from the go. What we're going to be doing is putting a Dragy into each vehicle and doing like a quarter-mile test hit just to kind of get an idea of like 60 foot, 0 to 60, eighth mile time, quarter mile time, all that kind of data. Obviously, we already know what's slow and what's fast, but this is going to give us a nice comparison of the vehicles as they sit currently. And then in the future, as time goes on, when we do performance mods and suspension upgrades to certain vehicles in this lineup, we're going to get to see how they perform. So it's going to be kind of cool to actually have like a before and after data, set. But yeah. We're going to start with the GTO because it's by far the scariest to deal with. And then we will work our way down to Bonnie and then to Gwendolyn. Now, before we actually get into anything, I do just want to preface by saying the mood this week is a little lower than usual. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty, but unfortunately, one of my coworkers has passed away this week, and me and a couple other coworkers saw that, I guess is a way to say it. Again, I don't want to get too far into detail. I think it's kind of disrespectful to their family. But all I want to say is if you or somebody you know, whatever the case is, if you're going through something, talk to somebody. There's plenty of places to get help. There's plenty of people to talk to and things of that nature. So before anything, gets worse or, something bad happens, just remember there are 100% family and friends that love you and that will definitely miss you. And yeah, just get the help you need. There's no reason to be ashamed of that, anything of that nature. And just my thoughts and prayers go out to Chaz, very good guy. He's going to be very well missed by everybody around here. So just wanted to get that out of the way. So without further ado, let's go beat the shit out of these cars and see what kind of data we get. So this is the little Dragy that we're going to be using. It's called a Dragy Pro. I just have a little suction cup mount so it'll get stuck to the window. So basically this is some sort of like GPS satellite little doohickey that is able to track movement and distance and stuff like that. So I'm sure you guys have definitely seen Dragy videos out there on the internet. I've always thought they were pretty cool, and shout out to my buddy Alex for actually getting me one of these so that now I get to be the guy that's cool. So again, we are going to start with Gemma Rose, 2004 Pontiac GTO. I've had this car for a couple of years now. It was in a front end collision. It is uncrashed, I guess is the best way to put it now. But we have a heads cam intake, 6-liter iron block under the hood. We have a T56 Magnum F behind that. Stock rear gear ratio with, a factory posi unit. And we're on lowering springs all around and low mile, but all original GTO suspension. Next vehicle will be Bonnie. This is my 2009 Grand Marquis. I have had this car since I was like 15 or 16. She's my first car and my favorite car. Now under the hood that's covered in bird poop, there is a bone stock 4.6 under there with a hot air intake. Nothing else on the motor has been touched except the tune. The reason we have a tune is because it has a 5-speed TR3650 Tremec Trans out of like a 01 to 04 Mustang GT. And out back, we have a 373 Posi from like a Terminator Cobra shoved into the 8.8 solid axle. She's lowered all the way around, and this car is slow, but it's a lot of fun. And last on the list will be Gwendolyn, my 2002 GMC Sierra 1500 HD. This truck has seen a lot of shit, but it's going to have a lot more shit happening to it in the near future. And this truck's basically stock with headers and a cold air intake, another hot air intake. So out of this lineup, we obviously know what's going to be fast and what's going to be slow. But again, it's going to be pretty cool to have a comparison between all of my vehicles. We're going to get to know all the data sets. And again, in the future, when we actually are doing, big projects to these vehicles, like we have a total suspension overhaul deal on the GTO. I'm going to love to see the changes, whether it's better or for worse, of our launch, our just, stuff. Bonnie at some point is definitely getting a different drivetrain, so it's going to be awesome to see what the 4.6 with the stick does compared to a Turbo JZ. And then probably the soonest project that's going to be coming up is a motor swap in this truck. So it's going to be pretty cool to see how much of a change does it really make if you put a built motor into a big ass truck like this? I forgot to mention earlier, but Gemma actually does have a set of drag bags out back with the lowering springs. So it should help that we have those. It might not help that we have those. I really put them in the car just for trying to prevent wheel hop, because it's a notorious thing with IRS cars. It just happens. So we're really going to be putting them to the test today too. Well, we just got home from Mexico doing our pass in the GTO. Obviously, that was a lot of fun. I haven't ran the car like that in a while, you know, trying to do like a quarter mile hit or anything like that. So looks like we ran a 13.27, which I don't think is bad. I think that's actually might be the fastest I've ever like had a car go. I've only ever drag raced 2 cars at the strip, one being the Marquis before it was 5-speed swap, and the other was a 99 Z28 that I had, heads cam intake LS1. That car ran pretty good. I'll have to find a time slip from that car. I think that was in the 14s though. Maybe it was in the 13s and it was supposed to be a 12-second car. I forget what the deal was. It was a couple years ago.
Going through the gears upstairs. Looks like I'll get there first.
But you can actually hear in the video, I let off right before the quarter mile hit. So I'm still content with calling Gemma like a low 13 car. To me, that's fine. I don't really know. I'm not like a big drag racer or anything. So I don't know, that was that. So now that Gemma had her time to shine, it is time to move on to Bonnie Girl, which I'm gonna wash the bird poop off before we go to Mexico, because it's a long drive and you know, a lot of people are gonna see the bird poop and it's not good. Now, another reason that I wanted to get the GTO over with first and then do the truck and the Marquis afterwards is the truck and the Marquis have beautiful ice cold AC. I'm sitting in comfort right now, ready to take my trip to Mexico. I was sweating bullets in the GTO, to and fro Mexico. Feeling slower, it almost feels sketchier. Not sure how I feel about that, but nonetheless, we just racked in a 15.3. I didn't do a great launch. We're not going to run it back because I don't think we're going to get under 15 in this car, honestly. Alrighty, well, just got home from our trip to Mexico and Bonnie went just about as expected. I could have gotten a little bit better of a launch, but I really don't think it would have changed the results that much. So obviously, Gemma's taking the cake. Bonnie so far is slower. So now it's time for everybody's favorite, for some reason, Gwendolyn. So let's take a trip to Mexico again and see what she can do. Just letting the truck warm up right now before I leave. But my predictions for this, going off of how the GTO and the Marquis laid out, I think this truck is going to be like 3 seconds slower all around compared to Bonnie. So much slower than the GTO and a good bit slower than Bonnie. Surprisingly, that didn't feel as sketchy as I would have expected, but looks like we landed 17.42 on the quarter mile, and I did launch it on the converter there. You know, I did a little left foot braking. So yeah, this thing's just dog shit slow. I mean, I expected that. I don't know what you guys expected. Alrighty guys, well, it's been a little bit since we took all 3 vehicles to Mexico and got some Dragy data. So I did a little bit of digging online just to kind of see what stock versions of all of these vehicles allegedly were running 0 to 60 wise and quarter mile wise. That was kind of the only data I could find. Here we have Gemma versus Bonnie versus Gwen, and then I also have like the stock vehicle, you know, stock GTO, stock Grand Marquis, and a stock Sierra 1500 HD. Now again, I'm not like a big drag racer guy. I never really been into it. I can appreciate it and respect it, but it's not my thing, going fast in a straight line. So I'm not sure exactly, you know, obviously I know what these things mean, but actual drag racer people would understand them better and know like the potential of a vehicle just off of like mile per hour and all that kind of stuff. So first things first, we have our 60 foot. Gemma's 60 foot was a 2.35. Bonnie's 60 foot was a 2.42, and Gwen's 60 foot was a 2.78. So makes sense. GTO was the quickest, Marquis was mid-tier, and then the truck was the slowest. 0 to 60, GTO did it in 5.33. Bonnie did it in 7.43, and the truck did it in 10.16. So quite a difference. Quite a difference between all of them. We have a 2-second gap between the cars, and then between Bonnie and the truck, it's almost a 3-second difference, and between the GTO and the truck, it's a 5-second difference. That's honestly pretty crazy. So for our 8th mile times, Gemma put down an 8.83 at 87 miles an hour, Bonnie did a 9.97 at 72 miles an hour, and Gwendolyn did a 11.3 second at 64 miles an hour. Again, makes sense that they're parked in their respective speed classes. Not really surprising, nothing crazy there in my opinion. Then we have our 1,000 foot. I don't know if this really means anything. I know it's not an 1/8 mile or a quarter mile, so I don't really know if 1,000 foot means anything to anybody. But the GTO did it in 11.24 seconds at 101. Bonnie did it in 12.88 seconds at 84, and the truck did it in 14.7 seconds at 75 miles an hour. Now here's one of our big ticket items. We have our quarter mile times. So Gemma's quarter mile time was a 13.27 at 110. Now again, to me, that doesn't sound bad. It sounds like a moderate LS car. I don't really know what to expect or what it should be at, but to me a low 13 sounds reasonable for a stick shift heavy bolt-ons car, essentially. Bonnie did a quarter mile in 15.36 seconds at 90 miles an hour. Now, I said earlier, I have had Bonnie to an actual drag strip before. Of course, before they closed down any of the ones that were local to me, they were still like an hour and a half away. But I want to say Bonnie was in the 15-second range, and that was with the automatic. So the car being a stick shift now and still being in the 15-second range, I guess that's not a bad thing. The auto trans that was in that car wasn't like horrible or anything, but it's a Grand Marquis. It's not like it's anything to brag home about. So I'll have to do some digging around and see if I still have the time slips from when I took the car racing. I'm pretty sure I do. So it'd be pretty interesting to see on a prep track what she would put down with an auto versus with the 5-speed now on an unprepped surface. I really don't think it'd be much different though. And last but not least, we have Gwendolyn's quarter mile time. She did it in a whopping 17.42 seconds at 82 miles an hour. And there was only about a 2-second gap between each vehicle. So car to car was about 2-second difference, and then Bonnie to truck was about 2-second difference, and then GTO to truck was about 3 seconds. Sorry, I meant 4 seconds. The math isn't mathing. So yeah, again, these numbers don't necessarily mean anything to me per se. We're not chasing any times right now. We didn't just do anything crazy to any of these cars that I would expect a drastically different number from them. But here's where it gets fun, comparing to stock vehicles on the internet. So first we'll start off with the GTO. According to a Motor Trend article from many, many moons ago, they had a 2004 Pontiac GTO. It was a 6-speed manual, and it was bone stock, fresh out of the dealership. They claim that they did 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds, and they claim that a quarter-mile time was 13.6 at 104. Now, if we compare those to Gemma's times that I just ran today in Mexico, my 0 to 60 was a 5.33. Motor Trend said they did it in 5.3. Now, of course, they're doing this, again, at a drag strip, a tamed environment. That road's obviously going to be a lot stickier than Mexico's 2-lane highways. So, allegedly, my GTO 0 to 60 is slower than a bone stock 04. I call bullshit. And they're also claiming that their quarter-mile time was only 0.3 seconds slower than mine. So my built 6-liter is only 0.3 seconds faster than a bone stock 5.7. Bullshit. Now again, as you guys saw, it's not like I was pushing any of these vehicles to their limits. I mean, I guess I kind of was, but I wasn't, dropping the hammer at $3,000. I'm not on a tire. We didn't do any crazy things. I didn't do any burnouts in these before launching them because they're all on street tires. It's kind of pointless. And really, we didn't even have much wheel spin out of the GTO or the Marquis. With kind of slipping the clutch and just trying to get out of the hole as quick as possible. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily satisfied with seeing those results. So then I did a little bit deeper digging and I went out to LS1 GTO. It's an old forum, for those who don't know. A lot of GTO stuff on there. And most of those people were claiming low 13 to 14. Some people said, I've never seen a stock 04 run better than a 13.8. Whereas other people are saying, my stock 04 did a 13 flat on the hottest day of the year. It's what you deal with on the internet. You really don't know. But roughly the GTO with my driving did apparently what a stock 04 would do. That's kind of a bummer, if we're gonna be honest. I have a lot of money under the hood of this car and underneath this car. And I've been driving stick for a while, so I'm not gonna say I'm a horrible driver. Definitely not a great one, but I'm not a horrible one. And for it to put down stock numbers is just depressing. So what really brightened me up was the comparison between Bonnie to a stock 09 Grand Marquis. I didn't really want to compare her times currently to like a stock Police Interceptor because those cars did come with a posi as well as a different rear gear ratio compared to like civilian grandma cars. So I figure it's only fair that we look at what Bonnie actually used to be. A 1-tire fire, 273 rear end, automatic, stock height and everything, compared to now. Lowered, posi with 373s with a 5-speed manual and a tune. So according to this website called Automobile Catalog, it's one of the only places I could find stock 09 Grand Marquis quarter mile and 0 to 60 times. They're claiming a 0 to 60 in 9.2 seconds, and they're claiming a quarter mile time of about, now this is a range, but 16 to 16.8 seconds at 84 miles an hour. Yes, that is a pretty big range for a quarter mile time, almost an entire second. So even if we like kind of average it and just say like mid 16s at 84 miles an hour. So comparing these stock 09 Marquis times to Bonnie, in Bonnie for a 0 to 60, we laid it down in 7.43 seconds. So compared to a stock car being at 9.2 seconds, that's pretty good. That's like a second and a half-ish that Bonnie is quicker than stock. So pretty good improvement there. And then for our quarter mile time, in Bonnie, we laid down a 15.36 at 90 miles an hour. So we're about, we'll say a second faster in the quarter mile, and we did trap another 5 to 6 miles an hour over a stock car. So overall, Bonnie had a pretty good success of being faster than stock, which makes sense because the car was dog shit slow from factory. So now moving on to good old Gwendolyn. This info is coming from a website called Metro Parts. Never heard of it. I don't know what they do, but For an 02 Sierra 1500 HD, they did have 0 to 60 as well as quarter-mile times for a stock truck. Now, I don't know the configuration of this truck that the times came from. If it's a crew cab or an extended cab, I don't know if it's four-wheel drive or two-wheel drive. I just do know that it was for a 6-liter truck. So they claim that an 02 Sierra should be doing 0 to 60 in 8.5 seconds and a quarter-mile time of high 16s, 16.5 to 16.8, so we'll call it 16.6, I don't know, 16.7. Quarter mile time of 16.7 at 84 miles an hour, which is funny because that's basically the same exact quarter mile time as Bonnie stock. So that truck and that Grand Marquis out of factory should have been doing the quarter mile in exactly the same time as well as mile per hour. Thought that was kind of funny. Now their 0 to 60s are different. They're off by 0.7 seconds, where the Marquis was actually slower than the truck. But anyways, let's compare those stock times to Gwendolyn's times. So Gwendolyn did a 0 to 60 in 10.16 seconds. That's just over a second and a half slower than stock. And for the quarter mile time, Gwen did it in 17.42 seconds at 82, which is about a second slower and 2 miles an hour slower than a stock truck. Now it does make sense looking at the truck. You can tell she's old, she's rugged, she's seen a lot of shit. It's on bigger tires, it's not tuned. It does have headers and a hot air intake. But yeah, I guess 240,000 miles, a lot of wear and tear, and bigger tires will indeed make it a good bit slower. So what can we take away from all this information that I have written on this piece of paper right here? Well, the GTO apparently is basically a stock piece of shit GTO. The Marquis is a beast compared to a stock Marquis, and the truck is somehow worse than a factory truck. I really don't know how to feel about all this. There's a lot going on here and not a lot going on up here. So I want you guys to let me know down below what you guys think about this outcome. I would have expected personally the GTO to have better performance over stock times. I would not have expected them to basically be the same, or be pretty much the same but a higher mile an hour. Now I don't know if the higher mile an hour in the quarter means that the car has the capability to be faster, 60-foot 0 to 60 quarter mile time, and it's more so just driver error, which makes sense, I get it, but I still don't think that this car could put down times that would be drastically different over stock. A stock LS1 GTO should have been making about 350 horsepower with an LS1. This car, tuners that I've spoken to, as well as me and a couple buddies, just butt dyno, we're thinking low to mid 400 wheel horsepower. So pretty good horsepower improvement over stock. Again, we do see an improvement in the mile an hour time and a little bit in the quarter time, but just not enough for me to be satisfied. So I don't know. We're gonna definitely have to do some stuff to the GTO and see if we can make it faster or if I can drive it faster. As for Bonnie and the truck, I wasn't expecting the truck to be slower, but having the bigger tires on it, I could see that kind of killing some performance, I guess. And then Bonnie, I mean, I figured she's faster than stock. I know she's faster than stock. So actually seeing the numbers showing that, yes, all of my pain and suffering and money over the years has paid off to a degree. But yeah, I think this was a pretty fun video to make. Not a crazy amount of stuff going on, but it was simple enough. Again, shout out to my buddy Alex for giving me the Dragy, because wouldn't have been able to do this without the Dragy. It would have been a lot harder to try to calculate, 60-foot times and 0 to 60 and eighth and quarter mile times and stuff. So the Dragy's the wave. As far as I've seen online, they are pretty damn accurate. So I do believe the data that we are seeing here. I don't think anything's like botched. Now the data that we got off the internet for the stock times, who knows? I would think that they're probably pretty accurate. All these websites have this data listed from over 10 years ago. It's basically from when these vehicles are brand new. So I think that's where we're gonna wrap up today's video. There's not really much else we can do. I could go hot lap these things, and I really don't think we're gonna see much of a time change. If anything, I think we could probably shave a little time off the GTO, but I don't think enough that it's worth hot lapping Mexico and making the block hot. So anyways, let me know down below what you guys think of these times. If you guys have a GTO, a Marquis, or a truck of this nature, let me know what kind of times you guys run, if you've ever measured them with the Dragy, or you just have had it to the strip, you know, whatever the case may be, let me know. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I truly do appreciate it. If you guys want to support the channel more than you already do, down below will be a couple links. One of them is for TJR Auto merch. Go get you some drip, some nice soft style t-shirts. They're nice and light for the summer. But anyways, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I truly do appreciate it. I love each and every one of you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.